Homies, come join me. My homosexuals. Got a bit to talk about. A bit of a roller coaster kind of day. Because, like it happens, you're going to, convince yourself every now and then that you're not where you're supposed to be, or you're not putting in the effort that you exactly imagined yourself doing. But you kind of have to throw that shit out the window sometimes. You got to just allow yourself to appreciate what you're doing in that very moment in time. And then, if you fail, who cares? You can work on it after the fact. I really got in my head today because, especially on clean and jerk, ever since getting my technique back to normal, which is better, my core is now struggling to get in the squat position as fast as I need it to, because especially on the lighter days, my body naturally tries to muscle through the cleans more than I'd want them to. It's way easier on snatch for me because it's naturally more technique based, So, especially on 225, I definitely was moving very slow. I took too much of a break, so I didn't really brace my core at all. The reps aren't bad, and I'm getting used to the movement a little bit more. The split jerk, I want to get my feet a little bit wider because they're not exactly landing exactly where I'd want them to. But again, it's still not bad at all. I'm making progress one step at a time. It's going to get there at some point, for sure. But, the biggest thing is that you spend so much time thinking about what you could be doing or what you should be doing or where you've come from, like what stuff you've done in the past. It's like all you can really do in that moment is, at least what I like to do, is imagine that weight is 100 pounds heavier than what it actually is. What does it feel like to pick up a weight that you have to put your heart and soul behind just to get underneath it, Because when I think back to when I did the 295 triple on clean and jerk, I'm sitting there thinking like, okay, well, when I did that, my form was near damn perfection. It wasn't perfect by any means, I know, but to my standard, it was great. It was wonderful even. But that's because I couldn't think about it. I had to use the most amount of technique and power and explosiveness because of how heavy it was. And so you have to kind of reutilize that mindset into your lighter days for your recovery so that you can, chill out with the lighter weight in the first place, but also put in the same intensity to make your technique and form even better for those heavier lifts. You have to treat every single warm-up like a PR weight so that you can make it to where it transfers over, so that, because if you do 255 or 275, give a shit. You're like, oh, I already know I'm gonna make it, so I'm just gonna do it. And you don't think about it that hard. You just leave it at that. When you put on 295, 315, you are gonna be dying, man. It is going to take you out, and that's what happened to me today. I got to 225, and I really did not put any thought behind it. It's been a warm-up weight for so long, and especially after chilling out the way I did last week for going out of town, jumping right back into the normal program right away. It's not a mistake, but I have to accept where I'm at right now. So when I get to my bench press, because I will say that last clean and jerk set, I did pull it back. I re-envisioned what I wanted the weight to feel like, so it wasn't perfect. The second rep was a little dodgy, but overall, really good set. I got that whippage back for the most part. I want to implement that in the later lifts in the next week of training. So we'll get there when we get there. You got to take your time with it. But I got to my bench, and I'm already in my head a little bit. I'm a bit burnt out. I kind of went harder than I needed to in ways that I didn't expect on the clean and jerk. But I was like, okay, well, let's feel it out. Let's ride out the bench. I haven't got heavy on a bench since I left town. So it's been like, since I did like a programmed heavy bench, it's been like 2 weeks, and that's plenty of time, long enough to, lose that little bit of spunk you need to really drive it off your chest at the most optimal level. And I didn't have an issue with it before, and I never have, but something that you might notice is my, I don't know if it's about the mobility of my hips or whatever I'm used to benching like, but I've always had my left foot naturally swing, like my foot literally turns out very, very wide and can come back further into my body on the bench than my right foot. My right foot typically points more forward and stays toward the end of the bench, even though it feels like I'm pushing it back as far as it can go. I don't think it's a mobility issue. I think I've just been doing it like that for so long that it feels natural, because I've always benched like that. And again, it's never really caused issues in the past, but I have had more issues on my left pec, probably because there's a bit more pressure on that side due to the imbalance of my feet positioning. Because when I do my leg drive, that little shift in my feet, like with the walkout on squats, is going to make that drive different. You know, it's going to make it slightly unstable for the most part. So I want to give it that time and attention it deserves. I didn't get to do it today, but next time I get in, especially since it'll be a recovery day, I really want to give it that time and effort to really feel what can work best, you know? Because there was one set where I had my spotter tell me where to put my feet, to where they were fully lined up, exactly the way my left foot was. And it felt horrible. Horrible. And that's reason enough to give it some time, you know? It's not like I need to change a ton. You know, I don't need to re-envision my entire bench press. But, you know, every time you take a new step into growing and progressing into your lifts, even if you're not getting stronger weight-wise, your body needs to adapt to its current needs to have the best form, technique, drive, core strength, whatever you want to call it, possible, you know? So, physically, I mean, it's still a good day. You know, I really was doing well. I think I would have absolutely had the bench press today if I didn't fuck around a little bit with the feet. And I was not giving it my all. I definitely wasn't. I was not thinking enough about it. It's just and that's my own fault. So I need to use that positively to do better next week. So I can still give it a solid 8.45, you know. It did feel 8.35. Let's be a little realistic. It still felt really good, and I am very proud of that last clean and jerk set from what it had started with. And the bench did feel very strong. Again, I didn't give it enough of care to drive it the way I normally would, and it put so much more stress on my shoulders. I didn't do optimal rest periods between my sets that I'm used to doing. Again, I just wasn't really as hyped up as I'd want to be. Mentally, I talked a bit to a homie about it, and, you know, before I get into it, mentally, like, after that little talk I had, I can still give it a really solid, and it's lower, but I can give it a very, very solid 8.2. It's not often that my mental's lower than my physical. I'm normally always having really good days when it comes to what I'm putting my effort behind, but I really just got in my head, you know, especially thinking too much about my feet positioning on the bench. But that's that initial obsession with a negative stimulus into your typical schedule in the day, regardless of whether it's lifting weights or whatever you're doing in your everyday life, is necessary for long-term passion to retake itself back over, because you're going to have to push past it and do better for the next step of your growth, you know? So it's not like it was a bad thing that I had a bit of a lower, shittier mental day, because I was just thinking a lot more about my technique and my form in the long run than I was living in the moment for these lifts. But it was still really nice to accept these faults, you know, it's not even faults, just accepting my weakness, you know, because we're never, especially humans, we're never really strong, even if we're gaining strength. We're just less weak than we already were, you know. It's not so much of a thing where you're becoming some sort of different fucking level of being, you know. There's always a limitation to how much we can grow. You know, we're a limited species for a reason. You know, it's and that's fine. You know, that's what makes us passionate. We have so little time to grow in what we want to give it our best shot with. So we take the smallest victories as everlasting altercations in our life that make it to where we can be the happiest versions of our current selves. regardless of what you've gone through or regardless of what you want to do in the future. But the main thing that was really nice today was I ended my workout. I brought back the sled pulls a little bit, doing backwards and forwards, just real good slow tempo, not putting on heavy weight. I went too heavy last time I did it. I was focusing way too much on hitting as deep a depth range of motion as I could, and that's what messed up my knee again last time when the pain came back. And I don't want to make those mistakes again, because sled pulls are easily, I think, the best thing you could do for at least quad tendon pain, but I think overall knee pain, it's insanely good. You could also do ATG, dumbbell squats, or lunges, whatever you want to call it, split squats. But the pulls just isolate the tendon so well, because you're not doing a static quad hold like on a leg extension. That's just strengthening the muscle around the tendon. It's really, really good for stabilization, mind-muscle connection, just overall confidence in your new steps of lifting. But that's not why I had a better day. Not new, but new-ish gym homie. He's a guy in high school. He's doing really, really well for himself at the age he's at. He's generally just started. He reminds me a lot of when I first got into it and didn't really have a great idea of what my passions were about it. I just wanted to get stronger. And he himself has had some knee pain in his quad tendon. I'm like, well, dude, try it out. Because you're not going to feel the progress right away. It's more so you're going to wake up the next morning and feel that, not inflammatory response, but it's going to feel sore like a muscle would. Like when you work out leg extensions really hard and your quads feel like they're going to burst out of your skin. Your quad tendon is going to not feel that way exactly, but it's going to feel like it's been, I know that it's strengthened when I feel that way, but it's going to feel like it's a little inflated when you do something like this. But overall, it was so good to have a nice pep talk with someone who's so much more impressionable than I am now because of the experiences I've got. I've been training for over 7 years total, 3 on Olympic lifting consistently with a good program. And it's really nice to see some fresh minds that don't really know anything, but that ignorant bliss is also a huge reason why they can make such great progress in this moment. That especially when they're able to listen. He's very, very mature for his age, and it's really cool to see that he actually gave a shit about what I had to say. He genuinely tried his best with the sled pulls, which was really cool to see, and I guarantee you he's gonna be feeling it tomorrow. He don't know it yet, but anyway, I was explaining to him that you really gotta give yourself the credibility that you deserve with this kind of stuff, because you're just, for the most part, you're living in the moment as best you can, because that's all you can do. You can't have expectations for what you're wanting to grow into when it comes to your progress, but the efforts you're doing now is for the sake of your future self. Living your best present life is the only way the future you is going to be able to be even better. You can't be there for your future self other than just doing what you can today. And I told him, I was like, look, man, he's been training for 7 months, and he's getting strong as shit real quick. I'll tell you what, he's a very strong 15-year-old. And he said that it doesn't, he said it feels like it's been so, it's been not long enough of a time for him to really see his progress. And I'm like, dude, even if you look back a month ago, you're going to see that you've had exponential progress. I don't care if your weights have gone up or not, but you've made progression relative to what you're working on. Your form's gotten better. You're not ego lifting as much. You're not injured. You have greater aspirations in general and passions than when you started. I don't care if you're half as strong as you were in the first place. If the passion's increasing, that's all that matters, So you have to give yourself that chance right now to grow into the shoes that you want to fill later on. Because that's it's just about all you can do, really. I mean, I don't know. I'm rambling for the most part, but it was really cool to have a very philosophical conversation like that, because it's just, you want to take people's experiences not as gospel for whatever you're trying to work on, but because I have so much more experience over this kid, But I'm still going to tell him straight up, like, my experience is not going to work for you. Even though we're both doing sled pulls, and it's going to help me a lot for what I'm doing right now, I've done the trial and error, and I've done the experience and the research to know that this works for me. You might not feel anything tomorrow like I say you might. So take it, try it, adapt it to your own programming, and just get there at your own pace. All you can do is follow your body's wants and needs, give it that attention it needs, in the moment especially, and then one day you're going to wake up and be like, damn, when did I start squatting 4 plates? You know? Anyway, I appreciate you guys hanging out. I got to get going, but tomorrow's my rest day. I'm actually leaving town to go to Charleston. Me and my girlfriend are gonna mess around for a while because our birthdays are this week. They have a gym over there, so I think I'm gonna try to keep on the normal cycle while I can. I might take an extra rest day if we're having fun, and again, it's our birthdays. I'm not gonna overwhelm a vacation with my gym passions. It's just, if it feels great, we're gonna do it. Because honestly, the extra rest might be nice for how tired my body is. Because jumping back into the normal program right away, it's not a mistake, but it definitely overburned me out to an extent. I could have been better set up, but again, I already pushed through it. We're here now. I know exactly where I want my weights to be for next week, and even if they don't move, don't matter. We'll reduce the weight. I don't care if today I failed the 295 3x6 right at the end. I don't care. I don't care if I fail it by 1 inch of a press. Next week, I'm taking the weight down a little bit. It was supposed to be 315 for a 3x4, but I'm not there right now. I don't care if I've done that in the past. That's not where I'm at now. So I'm going to go back to 305 for 3x4, make sure I crush it and earn that weight so that next cycle, I actually obliterate 3 plates, and then we go from there. And eventually, we'll be doing 3 plates for sets of 6. And you're not even... The fact that I'm close to consistently hitting 3 plates every single bench exercise is amazing. It's within the next 4 months. Honestly, 4 to 6 months. So we'll keep doing it. I'll be back, as always. Let me know how you're doing, and I love you guys. I'll be back later. See ya!